We're live in our recording.
Great, thanks, Katie. Can we go ahead and have roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Antonio,
Here.
Mr. Badger, Mr. Bleefeld,
I'm here.
Ms. Kiawachi,
Here.
Mr. Frank,
Here.
Mrs. Heyman,
Here.
Ms. Carrie Nikes,
Here.
Dr. Morris,
Here.
Mrs. Ginsburg,
Here.
and Carly Meltzer.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent, and 1 student board rep this evening.
Thanks so much, Katie. Would everyone now please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you and welcome everyone to the April 4th meeting of the Wissahickon School Board. We're going to begin by going over our prior and upcoming meetings. We just had a public work session last week, and we have several upcoming meetings. On April 18th, we have our policy committee meeting at 6:30, and we do offer that in a virtual format, as well as our racial equity oversight committee, which meets at 7 p.m., also virtually. The following evening, April 19th, we will have our budget workshop at 6:30 and a facilities committee meeting at 7:30. The following evening is the North Monco Joint Operation meeting at 7 o'clock. On the 25th, we'll have another public work session at 7 p.m. April 27th is the MCIU Board of Directors meeting at 6:45. And on May 2nd, we will have our next public board meeting at 7 o'clock. Now we'll move on to our presentations for this evening. The first one will be our WEOF student report. Lauren or Alexandra?
Okay, to start off in February, we have held a district-wide fundraiser called Double Good Popcorn. It was a 4-day flash sale with online pop-up stores to sell and purchase popcorn. We're excited to share that this program raised $6,135 for our Wissahickon classrooms. A special thanks to Caden Bloomfield, a Wissahickon middle school student who was the top seller for this program. He was awarded a Visa gift card as the top seller. We would like to thank Caden and everyone who participated in this fundraiser to help support our Wissahickon community. In other WEOF news, we are just 1 month away from our trivia night. WEOF Trivia Night is Saturday, May 7th at Lulu Shriners in Plymouth meeting. Ticket sales will begin in the coming weeks, so please watch your emails and the WEOF Facebook page closely to see when ticket sales will open because this event does sell out quickly every year. We will have 350 tickets available. A single ticket is $70, and a team ticket, this is the next one, is $650 for a table of 10 people. Many more details will be available in the coming weeks. So in the meantime, please gather your teams and get ready for ticket sales.
Okay, finally, the first week of May is National Teacher Appreciation Week, and May 3rd is Teacher Appreciation Day to honor and celebrate our entire Wissahickon staff, including teachers, administrators, and support staff. Families are invited to make a $15 donation to WEOF and write a message to staff members to express their gratitude. During the week of May 2nd, these notes and treats will be delivered to staff recipients. This staff tribute program will open on April 18th and close on April 27th so that WEOF can ensure that all notes are delivered during the first week of May. Please check your email and the WEOF Facebook page for the announcement when the program opens. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for us?
I just have a comment. So Alexandra and Lauren, thanks so much for joining us in person. I think this might be the first time that I recall seeing you guys at the meeting. Well, certainly pre-COVID. So thanks for making the trip out this evening. It was nice to see you in person and nice to hear the updates on WEOF.
Thank you for having us.
And I want to say congratulations. What a great effort that you guys have done at raising all that money. So congratulations, good work. We're so proud.
Thank you.
Yes, I would echo that. Amazing job. And thank you so much for that report this evening. It's great to see you both also.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? All right, well, again, thank you. All right, then we'll be moving on to our next presentation, which is a special education overview.
Okay, thank you. I will turn this over to Dr. Dewan to present we have the district's leadership team of student services. So thank you all for joining us tonight. And Dr. Dewan, it's yours.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Tonight's presentation is intended to provide a brief overview of special education services, how to access special education services, as well as a follow-up to the district special education study. At this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Chaim McCluskey, who is our Director of Student Services. Special thanks to Dr. Chaim McCluskey, as well as special thanks to our special education supervisors, Ms. Jacovino and Mr. Wilson, both of whom are in the audience this evening. I'll turn it over to Dr. Chaim McCluskey at this time.
Thank you, and thank you for having us here tonight. I was going to also offer my thanks to Kate and to Ryan for coming and supporting. This presentation was done in collaboration with the three of us, as well as Dr. Dewan, but I drew the short stick and I'm doing the presentation. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a brief overview of special education services, information about how to access the services, and updates on the actions that we have taken from the special education study that was conducted 2 years ago. The special education mission statement aligns with the district-wide mission statement to empower each student to excel to their fullest potential and contribute in full measure to the greater community. The special education mission statement explains further that we are committed to educate excellence based on students' individualized strengths and needs, with the goal of preparation for success and the path that each student may choose to pursue. The Wissahickon School District Special Education Department recognizes and values individual differences among students. Our focus is on providing an educational program that enables, empowers, and meets academic, physical, social, behavioral, and emotional needs of every student, while maintaining high expectations that prepare our students to become successful, contributing members of society. Through strong relationships and collaboration of stakeholders, our goal is to ensure availability of a full continuum of services options to fit the unique needs of all students, to support their educational progress, and to realize their potentials in the school and the community. Wissahickon School District serves approximately 5,013 students district-wide. Of those students, approximately 907 students have individual education plans, which is approximately 18% of our population, and 401 students have gifted IEPs, which is approximately 8% of our population. In comparison to the state, the district is right at the state average of 18.1%, and we're above state average for gifted, which is about a 3.2 average for the state. The breakdown of students with IEPs and GIEPs at each level is approximately 124 GIEPs and 406 IEPs at the elementary level, and 285 gifted IEPs and 506 IEPs at the secondary level. According to the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, school districts must provide a diverse continuum of special education services that identify different service delivery models in which students with various disabilities receive multiple degrees of supports based on their individual needs. Some of the services are directly designed to support students in his or her general education classroom, while others are designed to support students in a small group or a one-to-one basis. Under IDA, there are currently 3 types of support services: itinerant, supplemental, and full-time. Under IDA, type of support is determined by the total amount in a typical school day that a student receives special education supports from special education personnel, including but not limited to a special education teacher or a related service provider. This does not include services from a classroom or a child-specific assistant. A student who is receiving special education support and services by a special education personnel for more than 20% of the day, but less than 80% of the day, is categorized as itinerant support. Under IDA, there is also designations for specific special education programs. Within our school district, we provide programs for students in learning support, autistic support, life skill support, and emotional support programs. The district also provides an array of related services such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech and language therapy, vision and hearing, and so on. However, due to incident population, not all programs are offered in all of the district schools. And students who need support in a multidisability support program, deaf or blindness program, or any program that the district does not operate, receive their education from placement outside the district at the district's expense. The district provides numerous specialized services that require to assist a student with disabilities to benefit from their special education program. A student can receive one or multiple support services. These services are provided by both the district staff and our contracted services. Specialized services can either be direct service or consultative service. For example, speech and language support services can be direct or consultative, while behavior supports are provided on a consultation model. How is a student identified as having a disability? Child Find is the process where the school district must identify, locate, and evaluate all children with disabilities who need special education and related services. Either a parent or guardian or school professional may refer a child for an evaluation. A child study team is a collective multidisciplinary team who employs a data-driven, systematic pre-referral process where research-based interventions are delivered in the student's general education classroom in order to determine the effectiveness of these least restrictive academic, social, or behavior interventions. This process requirement of IDEA. Teams typically meet every 6 to 8 weeks to review and analyze data in order to make informed decisions regarding the student's individualized CST plan. Teams may decide to continue with the CST plan or make a referral for a special education evaluation based on the student's response to the intervention, and there continues to be an educational concern. School psychologists and related service providers are not able to assess for clinical or medical conditions. A request for an evaluation can also be made by a parent. This request must be made in writing. If a parent makes an oral request, the district is to provide a parent request form to the parent within 10 days. Just as a referral for an evaluation can come from a child study team, a referral for an evaluation from a parent or school personnel can initiate a child study team. Within 10 calendar days from the parent's request for an evaluation, the district must issue a prior written notice for initial evaluation, request consent form in order for the parent to consent to the evaluation, or NORA denying the request for their testing. So what happens during the evaluation process? The certified school psychologist meets with the students for several hours over several days. The child is assessed in all areas related to the child's suspected educational disability. The evaluation could consist of cognitive assessments, achievement testing, social behavior, and adaptive rating scales. Related service evaluations such as OT, PT, speech, vision, classroom observation, parent and teacher interviews, and functional behavioral assessment. Evaluation results will be used to decide the child's eligibility for special education related services, to help the school team and parent guardian to make decisions about an appropriate educational program for the child. It is important to note that not all students who have a disability or in need of special education. The IDA indicates that a student who is eligible for special education must have a disability that negatively affects the educational performance. How long does it take to evaluate? School districts under IDEA has 60 calendar days to complete an evaluation from the date of receipt of a permission from a parent. The 60-day time frame allows for collaboration and coordination with the multidisciplinary team. During the 60 days, a lot is going on to prepare for the assessment, and caseloads currently are high. What happens if a child is found eligible for special education and related services? The district has 30 calendar days after the child is determined to create and develop an individual education plan or an IEP, and must meet with the multi-team in order to develop the IEP. A special education case manager from the school will notify the parents or the guardian early enough to make sure an opportunity for them to attend the IEP meeting. An IEP meeting must be scheduled at a time and place agreeable to the parent and the district. The IEP is developed based on assessment and progress monitoring data and information gathered through the evaluation report, school team input, and parent input. At the meeting, data and input will be reviewed, which helps the team determine strengths and needs. These strengths and needs then drive the development of test accommodations, goals, specifically designed instruction, supplemental aids and services, and related services. Then the team discussed the type of program and the setting the program will occur in, general ed and special ed. Your child IEP team must include the parent and guardian, a local educational agent, which is usually an administrator, principal, guidance counselor, who is able to contribute to services and approve services in the IEP, a special education teacher, an individual who can interpret the instructional implications of the evaluation results, which is typically our school psychologist, and at the discretion of the parent or the district, any other individual that they feel would have expertise regarding the child and the services that the child may need. A parent and guardian of a student with a disability are important members of the IEP team, and their input is valuable in the development of the program. What happens if a child is not found eligible for special education related services? Then we consider as a team if the child would be eligible under Chapter 15, which is also known as a 504 plan. A Chapter 15 or a 504 plan is an accommodation support plan that provides supports or services in order to support a student's participation or access in the general education classrooms. How can a parent gain knowledge and access resources about special education services within the district? The district student service webpage, the student services offices, school counsel's office, the special education case managers, and the district virtual training and information sessions are available throughout the school year. The district plans to continue these sessions in order to continue and enhance parent engagement, communication, relationships through these workshops. Also, if a parent attends a private school, the offices at the private school has information related to special education in their public school area. In 2019-2020 school year, this district special education program went through an independent review study. This study identified many strengths of our programs and also made several recommendations. The following action steps have been taken or in the process following the study recommendations. One recommendation was to improve the district's MTS process. Together with the Director of Curriculum, Jennifer Schmidt, the Director of Equity and Cultural Responsiveness, Isaiah Latour, and Dr. Dewan, the MTSS process being expanded along with ongoing training for school staff. Another recommendation was the development of a special education mission and vision statement, along with creating a parent-friendly website and information guides. These can all be found on the website. This May, we will be instituting a universal screening for all first grade students. Mr. Wilson has been working with the psychologists and the gifted teachers in updating the gifted process and researching the use of local data as part of the multi-criteria used for gifted eligibility. General education teachers have often been provided with professional development opportunities on special education topics. Mrs. Jacovino has provided several professional development sessions already and has worked with special education personnel on topics and opportunity for future sessions. The Student Services Department is committed to providing equitable and inclusive programs across our district. That includes a robust pre-referral process and a comprehensive evaluation and reevaluations that ensures a free, appropriate public education and education of each student in their least restrictive environment that includes continuous, meaningful learning opportunities for all students and that value parent input and feedback to ensure continuous growth of our services and programs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Do any of my fellow board members have any comments or questions? Giuseppe, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm the one with almost always questions. So thank you for the presentation. I found that very helpful. It's not in any order, so do we have statistics on how many of our students have 504s?
Yes,
Do you-
I don't have that data with me. I can get that for you.
Okay. It wasn't very clear to me for the process if the GEIP or the gifted program has the same process as the IEP, like parameters, like the 60-30, et cetera.
Correct. IEPs and GIPs follow the same timeline.
Okay. So is the 60 and 30 days a state mandate, or is that a mandate that we brought, we've created here?
And that's under IDEA, the federal regulations.
Okay, great. And then do we know what our referral rates are?
In terms of percentage, like,
The percentage of referrals that actually get an IEP?
I do have that data, which I can get for you.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear that you have this information on the website. That must be a brand new thing because I don't remember seeing it. So I will peruse that. I know I had a hard time navigating these questions when it was my turn. So I'm happy to see these changes come into place. And other than today, will we make it more broadly known to our community where they can find these resources?
Sure. Sure. And anytime you can contact one of us, we can help you actually peruse the website as well. But yes,
there's 12 of us here. So we want the thousands to know that there's resources up there that they could go and find. Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments? Go ahead, Rosetta.
Yeah, I just have one really quick question. So if a child is evaluated and doesn't meet one of their criteria, doesn't meet the criteria to be in the program, but the families feel like they really, are not progressing as they should, is there an opportunity for them to be reevaluated in the future? And if so, is there a certain timeline for that to happen?
So with gifted, a parent may ask for an evaluation one time each school term. With a IEP, whenever an IEP team comes together and feels a child needs to be evaluated, we can evaluate that. Yes, if a student is not eligible for special education, the child study team has action plans that we put into place with accommodations and services to help the student in general ed. We continue with that plan. And we also look at a chapter 15 to see if they would be eligible for that as well.
Joe?
Yeah, can you back up a couple slides to the recommendations and action updates? There we go. Okay, so pre-pandemic, anecdotally, I would hear complaints or concerns about our special education process being like difficult to navigate, hard to understand, and like the process not being very responsive to parents. So I like hearing you talking about making more parent-friendly information guides and kind of revamping the website and the process and all that. But is there a way that you're going to be tracking the actual impact or the perceived value of these changes among parents? Like, if we're hoping that we make our materials more parent-friendly, the website more accessible and so forth, I think it would be helpful to actually get some data, not just from like Zephy or those of us here, but from a broader cross-section of the community as to whether or not they perceive it as being more accessible, more parent-friendly, more responsive, just so that we could know that the changes you put in place are actually having the impact that we're hoping. So that's number one. And can you speak to me about how you guys are going to be able to track that or intend to track that?
Sure. So we are in the process of developing some surveys that would go out to parents at different times of the process. So when they ask for an evaluation, after the evaluation is conducted, after IEP meetings, that will address all of this.
Okay, great. And then the administrator and the universal screener, is that for all special ed or is that more specifically for gifted screening?
That will be, well, it's for both. Will be administered to all first grader in the springtime every year. And it's really to gain an understanding of their strengths and needs and help us identify maybe students that we're missing, both in the special education realm as well as in the gifted program.
Yeah, okay, great. So this spring will be the first administration of the universal screener?
Correct.
Got it, great. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Hi, team.
If first of all, thank you for the universal screener. I think that's such an important tool. I know other districts use it, and I feel like I'm really glad we have it. We're going to use it. My question is regarding, when a parent requests an evaluation, obviously they think their child needs special accommodations or help. Let's say that we determine, or the district determines, that they're not eligible for an IEP or a 504. And then maybe this parent goes and gets a private evaluation and diagnosis. Are we then forced to use, do we then use that? Like legally, we have to use that evaluation, or how does that work?
So we legally have to consider that evaluation. So then the psychologist looks at the evaluation with the educational team of the school, and that kicks us into an evaluation or a reevaluation process. So we go through the process again, considering that evaluation, but that does not necessarily mean a child is eligible under school law for an IEP or a GIEP.
Okay, and I know those are quite expensive. So in terms of a family, I guess you're saying every term a gift it can be requested, and then when would you be re-eligible for an IEP? I was unclear on that. I'm sorry.
So if a student has an IEP, they're either eligible for a reevaluation every 2 years, depending on the disability category, or every 3 years that we're mandated to do the evaluation process for any student who has an IEP. If a student who is evaluated and is not found to be eligible for an IEP, at any time the parent can request, a child study team and the educational team will look at that as well. The school district does have a right to deny an evaluation if it's not for educational purposes. So that's why we have a child study team that looks at all the data, the evaluation report, if it's contracted out, and we look to see if there is an educational need for us to continue with another evaluation.
Okay, thank you so much.
Marshall?
Yeah, I just want to make get a clarification. Did I hear or understand that there's a backlog of applications for special ed at this point?
Not a backlog. We just have high case numbers right now. So the 60-day is utilized by the school district because we want to make sure that we're collaborating and we're looking at the data, we're looking at educational records, and we're getting the input that we need.
And are we as a district able to meet all of the appropriate deadlines as we are currently configured, or do you need additional help, or are you asking for additional help or anything like that?
No, we're currently meeting all the deadlines.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you do for our children.
Thank you.
I actually have a couple of questions for you. I'm going to like that kind of just jump around.
Sure.
You mentioned that I guess it's not necessarily a backlog, but what do you think is causing the current high caseload that we have? Is it something from COVID carrying over, do you think?
Yes, I think it's a COVID reaction. I think we have some mental health issues that are displaying themselves in the educational issues and needs that we needed within our classes with our students within the program. The reason that was brought up was the 60-day was to give parents an understanding that the 60-day is fully utilized. A lot of questions we'll get is that you have 60 days, but how come it's not done in 15 days? How come it's not done in 30 days? It's because that 60-day, everything is happening along the way to get that to that final report. So it's not that we have a backlog, it's just that those 60 days are fully utilized to evaluate for the student, because it's not just the evaluation that we're looking at.
And what other things are you factoring into that evaluation that you do over that 60 days?
Sure.
Because I don't know.
So the psychologist observes a child in the class. They usually go in 1 or 2 times during that time to see a child. They like to see the student in different settings. So if they observe in a math class, they may choose a language arts class another time. They're looking at all their educational records from when they have been at Wissahickon. They're looking at the PSSAs, the maps, curriculum assessment. They're meeting with the principal and the guidance counselor to get information and feedback from the school team. They send parents rating scales The parents complete and they send back. They review those rating scales to see what type of assessments may need to be performed based off of that. And they do a lot of collaboration with the speech and language, OT, PT, and with Ryan when we move forward to what assessments should be used.
Great. And do we have an idea of like the average number of students that their families request each year to have either IEP or GIEP?
I do have that number. I don't have it with me, but I can get that for you. We keep track of that on a monthly basis.
Okay. And as far as like we're making that request, like how does a family go about actually making that request if it's not coming from perhaps like the teacher in the classroom or making that recommendation, but a parent actually making that request?
So they can contact the guidance counselor, the principal of the school, and ask them that they're are interested in having an evaluation done. And either we have 10 school days to kind of respond to that. So during that 10 school days, again, we look at the record, we look at all the data, and we make a determination if there's an educational need. Then we would issue a permission slip. And if we feel that there is no educational need, then we would deny the testing through NORAP. And
I'm really excited that we have like updates on the website and things that parents can access, but are there like step-by-step, like just to describe the process online so parents know like this is what you would need to do to make the request, this is what happens next, so that parents have an understanding of that process?
Yes, so if you go onto the student service website under special education, all the parent forms are on there at the very bottom. And there is a process of how to do each step. And then there's also an IEP checklist of questions the parents should be asking their guidance counselor, principal, or one of us when it gets to that point.
Great. All right, I don't think I have any other questions. One more, Rosetta, go ahead.
Sorry, I just thought of this. So when the children are observed, like how does that observation happen? Do they prepare the parents before? Do they just go in and do an observation without anybody knowing that they're being observed? Like how does that happen?
Correct. So the permission slip is given the parents notice that an evaluation is going to take place. And it lists all the stuff that will happen during the evaluation. So that is the informed consent that we give parents. They know within 60 days. The psychologist just goes in very quietly. They try not to make any type of known that they're there. No, they don't prepare the child. Most often 9.5 to 10 times the child has no idea that the person is in there looking at them at all. They will talk to the teachers, though. If something's happening that day and it's not a good observation day, the teacher may say, you know, could you come another day? And they would, but that's the only planning that they have.
Maybe I do have a follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead, Marshall.
If, as you said, you're seeing an uptick, and I think it's reasonable, I saw the shaking of heads that over the last couple of years, there's been an upswing in either requests or cases where you've determined there needs to be an IEP. Is this a quantifiable measurement that you're seeing at this point from say 20 to 21 to 22? And is it concerning to you at this point? Meaning, are you getting to the point where you said you're at the 60-day period of getting these evaluations done? Do you feel that you may be getting to the point where you may be overloaded in that, or you may not be able to meet the needs of the kids depending on the percentage of increase in potential new accommodations?
We are seeing an increase in evaluations or requests for evaluations for different reasons, but at this point, we are meeting the timelines for that. I think our concern comes more into rather the evaluation is really based on educational need versus based on a medical condition, and that's a fine line that we have to always look at when we're evaluating.
Do you have any concern that while you can meet the needs now, that over the next year, 2, 3 going forward, it's going to be much more difficult and you may need additional support services in that regard?
It's a good question. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that, you know, the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic kind of start to swing the other way, and we start to see our typical evaluation numbers come back. But right now, I think it is the pandemic and a lot of the mental health issues that are happening, you know, across the whole entire United States. So I just think we just have to get over this hump and then we'll be okay.
Can you just, do you have those statistics of what the percentage increase has been?
Sure.
Since they do have it offhand or not?
I don't have one on hand, but I can definitely have it.
What it has been since 2020, 21, 22, to sort of project where we may be going, because
absolutely,
I'm not sure we know yet where it may may peak or ebb. And I think we need to stay on top of that to ensure we have all of the resources available to our parents and children who need it.
Absolutely. We keep monthly data on all requests that come in, whether it's a parent request, a teacher request, if it's an evaluation, reevaluation gifted, so I can get you all that data.
Thank you.
That's no problem.
Appreciate it.
And what is the current makeup of our staff? Like how many people are in your department?
So we are going to be presenting that at the budget session next week. But roughly we have, that's a good question, about 5 psychologists. Is it, oh, I'm sorry. I thought, are you talking about teachers or psychologists?
Oh, no, yeah, the members of your team. So like the psychologists and anybody else that's involved in this process.
So we have 5 psychologists, and Ryan Wilson is a psychologist by trade, so he jumps in when he has to. We have 3 BCBAs on staff that helps with the behavioral assessments. Kate just received her BCBA within the last year, so she jumps in when she has to. We have a speech and language therapist at every building. 2 buildings have 2 speech and language therapists because of the population there. We have 2 OTs and 1 PT.
Great, thank you. And do you see a need for more staff in any of these particular areas? I mean, this might be covered next week, the budget also.
Correct. That presentation will be at the budget on the 18th or the 19th.
Okay, so we can discuss it further then. I did have another follow-up. Joe had asked earlier a question, and you said there was a survey going out to parents. When is that survey going out, and how will those results be kept? Is it something that'll be shared with the board? Is it just going to be an internal document? What are your plans for those survey results?
So my plans is to start that next school year. We're developing them now, running them through the department, and I'm happy to share the results. Yeah, that's absolutely no problem.
And my final question was, I wanted to ask also about outplacements. You mentioned earlier about like students perhaps that are like deaf may get referred out. What other types of issues may we refer out to other schools?
So students have a multi-disability, which most often come with a medical condition where they need nursing doctors right there on staff. We refer them to the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. They house the multi-disability program. And then just students who may need a therapeutic environment due to mental health, they would be referred out as well. That program that would have a psychiatrist on staff to help with the mental health.
Okay, thank you. Rosetta, go ahead.
Just one more thing. Would you be able to share that first grade screener with us?
In what sense?
Could we see like what you asked, like the questions that you ask, like an empty one?
So an empty one.
Or just like sort of tell me.
I'm not sure. I'll have to just check because of the validity of the test.
That's fine. I just wanted to look at to see like
sure.
what kind of questions get asked.
Sure. Ryan and I will look at that tomorrow and discuss it with the company to see if the validity of the test changes once you share the test out.
Yeah, thank you.
Could be like asking for a copy of the SAT.
Yes.
I was going to say, Rosetta wants to cheat and really use the screener.
We can give it to you if you like. We can administer it to you.
But in all seriousness, I think there's, I've heard reports that there's like a little bit of a cottage industry of consultants who might be coaching or training kids to do well on gifted tests. So they could get entered into those services. So yeah, so that's why, you know, it is funny, but there is a little bit of a reality to some of the downside of it.
I have a quick follow-up on the same line, which is it of concern that our gifted percentage is like almost triple or a little bit more than double that state average? Do you know why that is? Or are we trying to, I know we have really smart kids, obviously. But could you speak to maybe, are you concerned about? Okay.
No, not at all. I mean, we actually encourage that. So no, not at all. Would you be concerned, Ryan?
And then has our 18% IEP, has that stayed pretty like stable over the years as like percentage wise?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? No. Well, thank you so much. That really
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move now to our first public comment period. And just a reminder to everyone that we allow a maximum of 5 speakers to be heard on the same topic. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Just a note that it's not the board's practice to engage in dialogue with speakers. When appropriate, we will post follow-up responses on our website. And when you approach the podium, please state your name and your municipality of residence. So in person, we have 1 person registered, and that's Linda Kennedy.
Hi, I'm Linda Kennedy. I'm president of the Ambler Rotary Club. And I don't know if I'm in the right place or not, but I submitted a request for facilities for a charity ALS walk that would be sponsored with Ambler Rotary and the Interact Club at Wissahickon High School. And I've been working with the advisor there. She, verbally, we worked out dates that the track and the parking lot were available. And weeks later, she said, oh, you have to submit a formal request and it has to be approved by the board. So late Thursday night, I looked at the agenda and it's not on your agenda. And the date of the event is May 15th. And I really need to get my flyers out, get it going. And I've been holding off because I was told I needed board approval. So I'm just putting it out there and hopefully I get a response very quickly. I understand you're not going to respond today, but I'm really anxious to get these flyers out for a charity event. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Questions?
All right, wait, is that something you could follow up on? Thank you so much. So Wade will follow up with you on that. Katie, is there anyone registered online? Okay, well, that ends our first public comment period. All right, then we'll move on to the board president report. And this evening, I have no informational items and no action items. Bye, guys. Thank you again. Oh, yeah, someone's code. All right, so we'll now move on to our superintendent report. Jim?
I have no report tonight. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our assistant superintendent report. Dr. Jamal?
Thank you. I have no informational items and no action items this evening.
Thank you. We'll move on to our board solicitor report. I think I saw Michelle with us.
Yes, good evening. I have no informational items and no action items tonight.
All right, thank you. We'll move now to our board secretary report. Wade?
Thank you very much. There's no informational item and the action items have not changed since last week. So we are requesting approval of action items 10B1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and has been seconded. Are there any comments or questions? No, seeing none. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have the board treasurer report, please, Ray.
Yes, thank you. There is no informational item and no change to the action item. So we are requesting acceptance and minuting of the treasurer's report for February 28, 22 per document 11-1. So the request is approval of action item 11B1.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll next go to the Director of Human Resources report, Danielle.
Hi, good evening, everyone. For tonight's HR report, there are no informational items. Changes from the work session last week are represented in bold on the agenda and are found in document 12-1. These include additional resignations, appointments, and postings and pay for winter coaches. This evening, I'm seeking approval for action items 12B1 through 12B5. Thank you.
Can I have a motion? Oh, sorry, yeah, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move now to our communications committee report. Zepi?
No items for tonight.
Great, thank you. We'll move next to our Curriculum and Technology Committee report, right?
There are no informational items. There are many action items. I'm thinking Dr. Dewan is going to take care of them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. There's one change in our action items since our board workshop meeting on March 28th. As you'll see bolded in the board agenda, action item 14B5 now includes an additional request for 6 high school students who have qualified to compete in the Academic Quiz Bowl at the state tournament in Harrisburg on April 29th. That's a Friday. Recently, these 6 students earned first place in the regional competition at the NCIU, so congratulations to them. So tonight we're seeking approval of action items 14B1 through 14B5.
So moved.
Are there any comments or questions?
Congratulations to those kids.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion's passed. Thank you. We'll next move on to our Facilities and Transportation Committee report. Joe?
Thank you. One information item this evening is that just wanted to point out that we have a Facilities Committee meeting on April 19th. And in particular, I believe there's going to be some important Bluebell construction updates. Is that right, Wade? Anything else beyond updates, like more specifically, what kind of updates?
So the Bluebell update is correct, and it will be almost like schematic level, and it'll be a refinement of the options that we've discussed. And then the other item that we discussed, I believe at the last meeting, was a review of the McMahon traffic study for the high school, middle school.
That's right. Great. Okay. So keep an eye out for that on the 19th. And the action items 1 through 9 are unchanged from what we reviewed and discussed last week. So for this evening, I'm asking for a motion for the approval of action items 15B1 through 9.
So moved.
Second.
Right, the motion's been made and it's been seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, the motion's passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move now on to our Finance Committee report. David?
Thanks, Amy. The Finance Committee has no informational items tonight, and the action items were all discussed last week. We'll be asking for approval of action item 16B1 through 5, please.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been made and it's been seconded. Are there any comments or questions?
I'm just really excited for the Ambler Carnival and fireworks to come back.
You're here.
Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to our Policy Committee report. Marshall?
Thank you, Amy. Although not listed, I will note an informational item. We have a meeting, as Amy did note at the beginning of the meeting, and I want to reiterate because of all the buzz surrounding the committee. It will be on April 18th at 6:30 by virtual format so that the thousands in attendance and around the world can enjoy the meeting. With that being said, I am looking for approval of 17B1 through 13 for action items that have been previously reviewed with no changes.
So moved.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll now move on to our Racial Equity Oversight Committee. And I didn't see, did Paul join? He did.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Paul, we're ready for your report, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thanks, Amy. We have no action items and no voting items tonight. We do have, as Amy mentioned earlier, we have the meeting scheduled for April 18th for everyone who can join. It will be a virtual meeting.
Great, thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
Any comments or questions for Paul? Okay, seeing none, thanks so much again. All right, we'll now move on to our report of board representatives. Marshall, do you have an extracurricular report this week?
There are no updates from the update that I gave last week.
All right, thank you. Same for me. I have no MCIU reports since last week. Ronnie or David, anything from North Monco? Okay. Zephy, anything from PSBI? No. All right, then we're at our second public comment. I don't have anybody registered in person. Is there anyone online? Okay, I'll just go over the instructions again that we allow 5 speakers on any particular topic. You have 3 minutes to speak. It's not our practice to engage in dialogue with our speakers. When appropriate, we will post responses online. And when speaking, please state your name and municipality of residence. Katie, who do we have registered?
You have Carmina Taylor online.
Carmina, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, hold on. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, so I actually have some good news and I wanted it directed to Dr. Crestfield. So I have a student ambassadors program in Montgomery County that's in 8 school districts. And today we were awarded the VNA grant of Greater North Penn, $30,000 to do a racial literacy project. And Wissahickon and Satterton are included in the grant in my second outreach. North Penn is the anchor school district. So at one point we had wanted the students at Wissahickon and Satterton to participate with our student ambassadors, but both superintendents said no. So I just wanted to let all of the Wissahickon parents know that we have opened up the grant for Wissahickon and Satterton parents to participate in the parent circles, the parent dialogue circles within the grant. And it's just a very exciting thing because now this will be reached out to 10 school districts in the county. And we have a partnership with a parents group in Washington, D.C. called the Kindred Project. And the whole goal of this is to raise awareness about how important racial literacy is within our school systems, within our school community. So I just wanted to thank Dr. Crestfield for motivating me more and more to make more accomplishments. And I think this is a really good thing for Wissahickon. So I just wanted to do that. And for the parents that are listening, there will be information on both the forum pages on Facebook. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmina. Katie, is there anyone else registered online? Okay, then we will go ahead and move on to board comments. Do any of my fellow board members have any comments this evening? I did have one question for Dr. Dewan. Oh, you'll take it? Okay, great, thanks, Jim. So the reading program that we offered for students, which I think we approved a couple meetings ago. I understand that at one of our schools, the program is no longer being offered.
Speaking of foundations?
No, this was the after school reading program we're
yes.
offering. My understanding is that it's no longer being offered at Stony Creek.
Our intent is to offer the after-school reading opportunity wherever we can. Sometimes we run into staffing shortages. This year in particular, it's been very difficult to find staff willing to spend a little more time in school. I think for whatever COVID-related reasons, we all can understand. Getting home is appealing. So as soon as we can find more staff or any staff, we'll definitely take advantage of that.
And then we thought about possibly letting volunteers in from the community. Like if these students need extra help with reading, like having parents that come after school and sit with the students for like an hour, just working on their reading with them.
That would need to be in the supervision of a certificated staff member. So it's not out of the question. We need to find that staff member.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? All right, well then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, anyone opposed?
No.